Was who's responsible. Some of the information kind of came out previously about the torchbearers. A space or an environment for those that are in charge of this operation to pop in and out anywhere they want along this line, along this chain. And so ultimately, though, all these roads, if you will, lead back to Rome. There's like a central one that exists in that this energy is then powering this massive system. The final bit of contextual information that was collected with this remote viewing project was who's responsible. Some of the information kind of came out previously about the torchbearers, about the parasitic type of things that seem to be running it here, at least. But what agency is responsible for this? Who are the proponents of this conquest? We describe it as like a World War II supply line. Who's the one leading the forces? And we are able to describe these individuals, where they are, and why they're essentially doing this. So I'm sure there's way more reasons than we were able to pick up or even possibly even comprehend. But simplistically, we were able to describe who these were, where they were, and the general purpose. Those that are perpetuating this system is run by what we describe as a council of organic entities. And they exist and operate this from a location that is incredibly concentrated. The gravity exists in such a way, and matter exists in a state that freezes time. So you can think of it kind of as a bubble or a void zone or a black hole that they're existing within. And they're creating an artificial environment, an artificial timeless environment from which to exist in, and then spread their influence out in a time reality in the universe. So essentially it's making them immortal. But they're doing this in a way that they spread throughout the universe through these various gateways. And so they create these little void zones in various pockets in space, in the universe. There's one here in this specific solar system. And this pocket is what allows them to pop in and out anywhere they want along this conquest or along this supply line, as they create these pockets, but they also live within them. And so it's almost like they entered into a different dimension that doesn't have time, but they can come out anywhere they want along the supply line for it. Now the council themselves, the words we use to describe them because of the system, because they may as well be mortal, because they don't age, is that they've created a system for them within physical reality that has set themselves up as gods, lowercase g, gods. And they view themselves as such as well, compared to all the other life forms, even over the souls. They view themselves as the gods of reality. And that is what gives them the authority to do what they do, to increase expansion, that they have some sort of right to perpetuate their authority throughout the universe. The energy that is being funneled back to create the system is also being funneled back to them. And when we describe these beings, when we describe their nature, it's not very positive. We describe them as, simply put, evil. As that these things are very service to self. It's about their own conquest. It's about taking the energy that exists in the universe, accumulating it, and then absorbing it for their own desires and to serve their own purposes. It has nothing to do with serving a greater good. It has nothing to do with bringing harmony or peace to the universe. It has to do with conquest, war, and taking the spoils back to create a larger system of control, and they act as immortal gods to this system. Now, one final thing about when you remote view these specific entities is, and remember that these are organic life forms. So these were flesh and blood, just like you and I, but through their technology, whatever you want to call it, they created an environment for themselves that they are no longer biological. They may as well not be, because they exist in this timeless reality, with or without bodies. We're not sure. When we draw them, we describe them with eyes that are blazing white. When you remote view them, they do notice you actually looking at them, but it's rather irrelevant to them. In the session that I ran when it looked at these things, I was describing kind of the nature of this being. What can happen in remote viewing occasionally is you start in real time as you're remote viewing, describing the life form, noticing you. And so you're writing down information patterns of this thing, describing you, describing it. It's very, very strange. And so what happens when you look at these things with remote viewing, if that happens, is, well, at least for me, what occurred, it was like a gorilla noticing a gnat. It was very dismissive. It was like, little mind, I don't have time for this. Why would I even consider this little mind? I have much more important things, much more grand things to think about. And so it wasn't even really an interaction. It was just like a gorilla noticing a gnat and then ignoring it afterwards. And so it simply shows, I mean, either whether it's the level of ego or whether it's the level of, I mean, the truth to the situation, that these things operate in a place and on a plane of consciousness that so far surpasses where we are as humans on this physical plane, that's not even worth the time. Even think about us looking at them. That's not even a concern. But these are things that they used to be physical, they used to be organic beings, but through technology, through consciousness technology, they figured out a way to set themselves up to live forever, and so they don't die. And from that space, they have an outward expansion of conquest in the universe to perpetuate a system of control, to perpetuate a system of cages around planets that keep souls locked and trapped there, so that every time they die, they have to go back, and then there's a cutting off or a fracturing off of that soul that then is collected into like a bundle of twigs to feed the system, to power the operation. And so we're essentially, souls are being used as kindling, is being used as coal for this system. And that while there may be other reasons that the soul may decide to jump into this system, like maybe even willingly put themselves in this situation, it's not the soul on this planet is not one that doesn't come without extreme dangers, because it seems that every time you die, there's a part of you that's lost and is fractured. And so reaching moksha is a very significant and important thing. Maybe the soul originally, I'm just speculating here at this point, your soul or my soul, we came here to learn something. But if you're stuck here for too long, is that you become so fractured that the ultimate end of that is something that's like a ghost. It's something that's used up. It's something that has lost its energetic potential. And so based off of some other work, which I'll be sharing in the future, I believe it's very important for people in their lifetime to be thinking about this type of thing, to be thinking about how do they attain moksha, first, is it in their highest good to do so right now is a very important aspect. Being able to have a dialogue with your higher self is very important to, is this the life where, attaining moksha or pursuing it is important. But I think that knowing that there is an outside group that, while they may not be in charge of this particular space, is there and waiting for people that figure out how to exit the body at the right angle, figure out how to avoid the specific snares that exist for souls as they exit the body. This will be a topic for another remote viewing video on YouTube, which I'll talk about. That there are those outside waiting, and they're there to drop a rope down into the cage to help you the rest of the way out, if you do the first part. So that's moksha. That's remote viewing work that's describing the freedom from the cycle of reincarnation, contextual information about why it's occurring, how it's occurring, and who's doing this. And I think it gives a little bit of perspective that there's a much larger game that's being played here, and Earth is just one tiny part of it, and we're not the center of the universe. We're just one tiny aspect on a very large board that seems to go back and be funneling into a system of fight, if you will, on a cosmic scale of fight between good and evil. And our pocket of the universe is one that appears to be controlled by the negative side. Its authority, it has its system, exerts power and control over this specific pocket in a way that keeps people entrapped here, enslaved here. And so these ideas that you may have read about in the past of prison planet seem to fit, is that it fits now the reasons for it don't seem to match up a lot of the other things that I've read about why this has occurred, or who's doing it. The remote viewing data very clearly kind of points to that idea that souls become entrapped here, and then they are harvested here again and again like bees for honey. And until the individual figures out how to escape the system, which the out-of-body experience, being able to determine where you exit from after death, is a key role. And then also overcoming the fear of exiting, it seems to be a key role. And then looking for that rope that's dropped down for you, and really using a discerning eye, I think, in that state of life after death, that soul state afterwards, seems to be important as well. So that'll conclude the remote viewing video on Moksha. And if you enjoyed this video, please definitely hit a like. And if you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button on the channel. If you want to see more of this content, you can always support me through my Patreon page, which is just patreon.com/remote viewing. You can also check out the website technicalintuition.com, where you can stay up to date on future free webinars that I host. And I also teach remote viewing as well, so if you want to learn how to do this yourself,